Today, the Below Average Joe's MMA show presents the weekend preview. And boy, is it a big one, as UFC 279 is coming up with Khamzat Chimaev being sent in like the goon to take out the bad guy. Nate Diaz on the last fight of his UFC contract. Also, we're recapping Week 7 of the Contender Series and Anderson Silva looks to defend the sport of MMA. All this and more, and it all starts right now. Welcome back, everybody. I gave a little welcome, a little
Ooh, let me have some of that Cool Whip. What'd you say? You can't have a pie without Cool Whip. Cool Whip? Cool Whip, yeah.
Welcome back, everybody, to the show, episode 235. I'm trying to read behind Dominic's head there. Preview episode, of course, UFC 279, and much, much more. Don't want to repeat too much of what I literally just got done telling you in our little intro. Dominic, how are you doing? As you can tell, the bed frame behind me has still not been moved from the premises. Yeah. I have definitely slacked on getting that out of here, but man, I have this whole room and I just have the desk right here. Like, I don't really need all this space, so you know what? I'm gonna just it's just gonna stay there for a little bit longer. How you feeling?
It's all about the decor, and I really love it. I'm doing well, Noah. It's just it's a wonderful time. It's a wonderful time of the year, but it's not Christmas time just yet. But college football is back. It's in
it feels
full
like
swing.
Christmas. Yeah.
Yes, it does. The NFL is back tonight, the day you're watching or listening to this show. UFC 279 going down this weekend. Khamzat Chimaev, Nate Diaz. Oh, my goodness. It's just, life's good. It's good to be an MMA fan. It's good to be a podcaster. Everything's good in our neck of the woods. No, I'm excited for another preview show, episode 235. How are you doing as we get into the middle of September, damn near?
Yeah, I mean, this is the best time of the year. I bought a second TV for my living room. I have a perfect setup for not just, really just a whole weekend. I mean, because it's not just about football. I mean, the UFC is Saturday as well.
Yes.
And once Bellator's on or PFL, those Fridays, there's going to be some football on at the same time. But yes, I mean, the weekends start early now. That's this time of year, Thursday through Sunday. It's through Monday, really. I mean, It's just nonstop. It's a very exciting time of the year. Admittedly, we do a podcast about MMA. We absorb the sport of MMA more than any other.
Yes. But
I'd be lying to you guys if I didn't say I don't have a soft spot for football in my heart. Like, like the rest of the year, MMA is my number one sport. But during these few months, it's like
a tug of war.
It's a toss up.
Yeah.
Which is not a knock on MMA. That just shows you how much you love football at the same time.
Right.
So, but we do have to kind of air out a little grievance here real quick. I mean, we got to talk about something. So, what comes with football? The thing that Dominic throws himself into the most is fantasy football.
Oh, baby.
As I'm sure many of you do. Me and Dominic started a league of our own.
Yeah.
All in the family.
Yeah.
Shout out to the FedEx package handlers, my team.
Yeah.
If you want to give your team a shout out.
Shout out to the Champions Club. Also, that's a shout out to Dr. Disrespect as well, if you didn't know.
No. I wish you wouldn't have said that.
Oh, I know.
Anyways, so the grievance is that I had to tread lightly with doing a league with Dominic again.
Oh, boy. This is happening now, not later? All right.
Yeah. We're doing this on the recording. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. There was an incident. Let's just call it an incident. The last time me and Dominic did a fantasy league together.
A while ago.
Yeah, it's been probably about 3 or 4 years ago. How do I word this? Where he essentially robbed us all blind. Cheated his way to a victory.
Oh, that's a harsh word. I like the robbery one better.
Yeah, let's put it like this. So our buddy Branson, friend of the show.
Yep.
Sometimes. Oh, he should be to you all the time because
True.
Branson, realizing his team had no chance, essentially traded, everybody that was worth a shit to Dom for people that weren't worth near as much of a shit.
Yep, basically.
And the only fault that the rest of the league had was that they were not as perceptive to the, I guess, intentions of these two.
Yeah.
But I knew once the trade went through, I knew what Dominic had done.
Yeah.
And Branson's just as guilty. But
Yeah, true.
Dominic ends up winning the whole league. I had to give him all the money. I never forget, he texted me. He was like, hey, good year. He's like, don't worry, if you want to give it to me in like tens or, hundreds, it don't matter to me. I was like, oh, this cocky motherfucker. So I remember a lot of people were very heated about this. My stepdad said he'd never do a league with them again. My cousin, who lost to you in the finals, in the championship, I should say, he said he would never do a league with you guys again. There was a lot of anger. But it happened. I rallied the troops. We made another league.
Quickly. It happened very fast.
Dominic put into the role as commissioner, maybe against my better judgment, considering I do have him and Branson on thin ice to give Dom that much control. But he kind of just did it. And we go into the draft, and who has the first pick?
Yeah, that's really got to be the icing on the cake. It's got to be.
I see Champions Club has the first pick, and I'm like, huh.
Yeah.
Who's the commissioner of this league again? Oh, it's Dom?
Yeah.
Well, I texted him and I said, congratulations on Jonathan Taylor, you son of a bitch. So what do you have to say for yourself on this one?
Yeah, so it really, I would never do that, by the way, guys. I've been playing the trade thing. Listen, I'll address that first. The trade thing was something that I would have never had the opportunity to do before and never will again. And the opportunity presented itself. I took it. That's how that happened. And do I regret it? Well, no, I don't.
Can you confirm? Can you confirm or deny that you did give a cut of your winnings to Branson?
I don't think I gave him anything. I don't think.
So he really just did that out of the kindness of his heart.
Yeah, basically. What a guy.
What a prick. Anyways, continue.
But the draft thing, that's a bad look. And that's why. And I literally remember texting you, and we kind of are like 3-manning this in terms of like getting everything together. And I was like, random 6:15, ESPN does it. That's how they kind of do it every year. But there was one other time where I've done a league and it did the same damn thing. And I'm just like, this looks terrible on me. It looks like I gave myself the first pick. So this year I literally was going to text and say, should I just throw names in a hat and like pull them? But I don't know. And then we just ended up setting it to the random thing because that's the default setting. And it gives me the first pick again. That was a genuine reaction to Noah in the group chat saying, you're joking. There's no way that that's what happened. I literally, not that I'm annoyed. I mean, listen, if that's what they're giving me, I'm taking JT all day. But I'm annoyed at the fact that it looks bad.
Yeah,
it looks bad.
In all seriousness,
again,
I know he had the setting. I checked the settings. I know I'm just busting his balls a little bit, but it was very funny because he is on thin ice this season.
Yeah.
And then immediately he gets the first pick, which admittedly I don't like having the first pick.
Dude, I didn't. It was a little weird.
Especially when you get to like 10, 12-man leagues. I just don't think it works very well. But getting Jonathan Taylor, whatever. Enjoy him, I guess. He's a son of a bitch. Anyways.
I hope so.
Let's talk about the main event. But first, we got to talk about PointsBet Sportsbook.
What a time to talk about him.
Yep. That's very true. I really just gave you a commercial right there for why you should sign up. It's football season. Basketball's right around the corner.
Yeah.
MLB playoffs starting in October. What a time of year, guys.
Everything.
And UFC 279, Saturday.
Yes.
So, PointsBet Sportsbook is the official betting partner of the Below Average Joe's MMA show. And we have a great offer for you guys right now. Right this second.
Literally.
If you go to the description, I always a little bit of a pretzel puts my tongue in there. If you go to the description of today's episode there is a link.
Yes.
You take that link, you sign up, and on your initial deposit, PointsBet is going to match up to $2,000, 100% of your initial deposit.
Well, why say no?
We're talking free money for you guys to use for your degenerate needs.
Yes.
There's also another way that you can get this. If you just want to download the app right away, you can do so. PointsBet Sportsbook app. At sign up, use code MMAJOES, and you get the offer. So happy betting, everyone. Live your bet life.
Yes.
And let's get into the main event.
Here we go.
Because all these odds, by the way, PointsBet Sportsbook odds exclusively. So
Yes.
Khamzat Chimaev does come in minus 1110.
Yeah.
Don't know how to really say that. Minus 1,110. And he's taking on Nate Diaz plus 675 underdog. Khamzat, of course, ranked number 3 in the division. Nate Diaz currently unranked. So this has been a very messy affair. It feels like a Game of Thrones season that we've been experiencing with this. Dare I say it's been one of the, since I've been a fan, like since I've been watching live, which has only been, I guess, what are we on, 6 years now, Dom? I mean,
Over 6 years though.
So we're about over 6 years. I mean, it's a good chunk, but since I've been watching, this has probably been like the biggest black eye that the UFC has really faced since I've really been watching. I mean, there's been a lot of things, right?
But matchmaking wise.
Yeah, but like in terms of just a situation where you really don't feel like you can defend them, there's a lot of them where maybe you could, where it's a little bit of he said, or he said, she said, whatever. This feels pretty clear, like UFC's kind of screwing this guy out the door a little bit. And they're giving him Khamzat Chimaev, who, of course, is looked at to be one of the future stars. I mean, he's already kind of that, but he's sort of the future of the company in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Nate Diaz kind of being viewed as the past at this point. He's still a needle mover, but his best days potentially behind him. And I think the odds are really illustrating that. So, Dominic, I think to Nate's credit, he's an exceptional fighter even still. Even in a fight like against Leon Edwards, who's now our welterweight champion, nearly finishes that fight kind of similar to how Leon did the Usman, but with a left hand instead. Had Leon on skates for the last minute of that fight. Still a great fighter, of course. One of the just legends of the sport. He's had a lot of great wins through his career. Khamzat, kind of a guy that's still pretty fresh. I mean, doesn't have a ton of fights in the UFC. He's coming off of a big win over Gilbert Burns, one of the fights of the year, but one that might have, showed a little bit of flaw in Khamzat. So when you kind of look at this fight, you look at the odds, the story's pretty clear on how this fight should go.
Yeah.
But the question is that how it's going to go?
Oh, Noah. Is it crazy that with odds like this, I don't have a damn clue how the fight's going to go? Nate Diaz is the toughest bastard in the UFC, in mixed martial arts, dare I say. This dude's been through it all, an OG, the realest of the real, too, in terms of the way that he acts, the way that he walks, the way that he talks, everything he is, he's about that life. He's one of those guys. But honestly, everything we've seen from Khamzat Chimaev has been basically the same of what I just described Nate Diaz as. Dare I say, he's the new age Nate Diaz in the way that he carries himself. That could be a bit bold, I know. But, man, it's just, you think on paper, as basic as you can describe it, Khamzat comes in and he smashes Nate Diaz. But can anybody really do that? I mean, I just don't know. I don't see a world necessarily where Nate wins, but I'm also not seeing a world in which Khamzat comes in and just ragdolls Nate and finishes him like he's done with, many of his opponents outside of Gilbert Burns, that is, and he's still got a great win in that one. So I just don't know what to expect. Like, Nate's good on the ground, but can he really use his jiu-jitsu if Chimaev's on top of him? On the feet, Nate's a solid boxer, but Khamzat's going to have more power than him. Is Nate going to be able to, piece up Chimaev? I don't know. Gilbert had success, but he has a lot more power. Noah said that off recording. I don't know a method in which Nate can win this fight. And although I think Khamzat's going to win, he should win, I don't really know he's going to do it either. So this is as crazy as these odds are, as crazy as the fight is, as crazy as the storylines have been. I don't have a damn clue what's going to happen when the cage door locks on Saturday night. But I do hope that Noah has a little bit better of an idea than myself.
I mean, well, let's dig into Khamzat Gilbert Burns first. That's the fight that a lot of people walked away kind of putting a little bit of a pause.
Yeah.
On Khamzat, on his hype, right? And we kind of were in the camp of like, you shouldn't put a pause on it. I think that win proved how legit he is.
Yes.
But there is some things that were in there where, I mean, I think we were looking at him at the beginning of the year being champion by the end as like a foregone conclusion. Mm-hmm. Now I think you have to put like a little bit of, like, I still think he's a future champion, but maybe not as quickly and as thoroughly as we originally were maybe thinking.
Fair.
Because that Gilbert Burns fight, he fought very, what's a word to describe it? He was very disorganized in his approach. I mean, it was very balls to the wall. Not a lot of fight IQ.
I think he made it harder on himself than what it needed to be.
Yeah, like, don't get me wrong. Gilbert is a terrific fighter. I mean, he fought for a belt. He had Kamaru hurt. A lot of people forget that. I think there's a chance Gilbert could fight for a belt again for sure. But, I mean, Khamzat really kind of fought with reckless abandon when I really don't think he needed to in that way.
Right.
Especially in the stand-up department. I mean, he seemed very just committed to trying to get a knockout quickly. And then he ran into some just hammers that Gilbert was throwing and was kind of like, oh shit, and it really evened that fight out.
Yeah.
Obviously, Khamzat got the win. It was a pretty clear 2-1 at the end. But to me, he defensively was very just not on it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of better words. I mean, here, but they're not coming to me as this is what the corporate America does to you people.
Yeah.
But he just defensively wasn't very sound in that fight. I mean, again, he was looking for a finish. He was aggressive, but he left a lot of openings. Mm-hmm. Gilbert had the power to hurt him, and he did multiple times. I mean, took a whole round where it looked like Khamzat was looking a little dicey there for a second. With Nate Diaz, don't see that happening. Not on the feet. I mean, he's a good boxer, but I don't see him, like you said, picking him apart. Mm-hmm. Khamzat just, I think he's too big, too aggressive, too, like, powerful, too quick at this point to really. I don't think that hand that Nate threw at Leon, I don't think that does the damage to Khamzat that it did to Leon. Put it that way. Could I be wrong? Of course. But I just don't really see Nate being able to fight that way. But admittedly, there is so much pressure on Khamzat here.
Oh yeah. And Nate said that,
that he is being given what is essentially the biggest name in the sport that's active right now, who is looked at as not being nearly in his prime anymore. Yeah. We can debate on where he really stands at this point. But that's what the UFC, I mean, they're really trying to give him a layup in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Get the biggest name on your resume and a main event spot, and then you cash in with potentially a title fight next. Mm-hmm. But if he goes in there and struggles at all, or, can't put Nate away, even if he dominates a 5-round decision, does that raise more questions than it does give answers? Because I sort of wonder if that's what we're facing here. And again, I almost feel like I see a future where we get on here Sunday, we record for Monday, and we're going to be like almost defending Khamzat against people being very reactionary again. Yeah. Because look at those odds. Those odds tell you that Khamzat smash.
Yeah, right.
But if he does, but not enough to really put Nate away, who we know how durable
hardly anyone
is. Yeah. But is the takeaway going to be that Khamzat, he got a gimme with the 38, 37-year-old Nate Diaz, who's already on the way out, couldn't finish him. Is this going to be the narrative? And it's going to be kind of piling on after the Gilbert fight, where people thought he did not fight like a championship level fighter. Are we going to find ourselves defending him again and being like, guys, he's he's probably a future champion. You got to realize Nate's so durable. I think I'm seeing a future here where I don't know if Khamzat can really please anybody with this fight.
Yeah, I can see that happening come Sunday when we record. It's just like, and the haters are always going to be out there, but just skeptics in general of this guy's talent, being the way that he was pushed or the way the UFC views him, whatever the case. Their opinions on this fight, big Nate fans, there's a tons of different angles people can come at with that same viewpoint that Noah just described. And, it's just like, I don't necessarily foresee this happening, but like, do we even get to a world where it does go 5 and Khamzat just plays with his food, like even intentionally? I don't necessarily think so. It's hard to imagine any sort of way that this fight ends for both guys. I don't know why I'm struggling so badly there. I mean, but I personally feel like Khamzat is going to come out guns a-blazing, like Li Jingliang fight type style, and really look to just pummel Nate. And again, easier said than done. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but if I really had to say this is what I think is likely to happen, or at least in terms of a game plan for Khamzat, I think that's it. I think he absolutely just barn burner, just straight at Nate, no room to breathe, right on top of him from the get-go. And truthfully, I think that's the best way to go about it. Do you really want to take any chances with Nate? Like, don't get me wrong, Leon, the way that he fought Nate, that's just Leon's style. And Leon looked amazing in that fight, guys. I hate that last minute ruined his whole performance, because Leon looked incredible. Even his wrestling, it was great. But again, like, maybe Khamzat does see that hand that Nate landed on Leon, and he's like, oh shit, man, I just got into a war with Gilbert. I got injured there, wobbled a little. What if that just one perfect shot clips me when I don't see it? I don't know if Chimaev wants to put that at risk. You said that the pressure is on him. The weight of the world is on his shoulders going in here Saturday night, his first main event on pay-per-view. I think he tries to go in and just pummel Nate. That's what I think he should do and what I think he's going to try to do.
Well, let's talk about Nate Diaz a little bit too, because he is in a very peculiar situation, right? There's talks now. It looks like he's going to be starting up his own fight promotion, which maybe we'll talk about that more once the fight's taken place, just kind of what that might mean. But last fight of his deal, a lot of people talking about a boxing fight in his future with the gentleman who we might talk about a little bit later. What's the motivation for Nate here? Because I've seen legit takes, not going to expose anybody. I've seen motherfuckers telling me that Nate, he could just go in there and lay down and flip off the Dana and the boys as he's walking out.
I've seen that more this week. I have.
That's a great little fan fiction that just got read to me. But there is a less than 0% chance that happens.
Yeah.
Do you agree, or do you really think that there's a chance? I'm not talking about do you think there's a chance like he gets a nice shot, like almost like what Nick did against Robbie a little bit?
Yeah.
Like he took a really clean shot, and if this was like the Nick Diaz who was obviously in a much better place, he's still coming forward, but there he was like, man, probably just broke my nose, like fuck this, and kind of just dropped down.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a world where Nate do you think he thinks like that? Does he weigh these kind of things and goes, I got bigger fish to fry outside of this fight?
No, man, it goes back to what I said at the beginning about Nate. This dude he lives and breathes the fight game. That's what he's about. It's like in his blood. There's no way that I could see this man. That goes against everything Nate Diaz stands for.
Yeah. If
he goes out there and does that. So I've seen the narrative from our friends and from the community this week. More.
They're not the only one. They kind of said they were the ones that kind of brought it to me first.
Yeah.
And I put them in timeout.
Right.
And I almost
Might
had
do
to
it
put him
again.
in timeout again just because they
Yeah.
keep reminding me about it.
Yeah.
But I am seeing it. Like,
Yeah.
and most of the time when I see it, it's people saying I wouldn't blame him if he did that. Which again, not a great look for the UFC here. I mean that they're sort of even putting this fight together in the first place. It's a massive fight, but it really does feel like the UFC has not gained themselves any friends by putting this fight together here.
Yeah, for sure, and it's definitely not, in Nate's best interest to make this fight. But he did kind of make it clear with the interview with Brett that he doesn't necessarily have any hatred toward the UFC. He loves the UFC.
Yeah.
Dana talked about how they still have a very strong relationship. He wishes him the best. We'd love to have him come back if he wants. If not, blah blah blah. Like if Nate were to really come in there and lay down, take a dive. I think that's the word I was looking for. The phrase. You want to talk about burning bridges for your future, for that fight promotion. If you want to do any, get it on Fight Pass or, whatever the case may be, re-sign with the UFC, like anything like that, all out the window. And Noah has even said that with other ventures. If he wants to go to Bellator or go box, like
people don't recognize that, like, if you do that, yes, I get it. Maybe he has a right to, right? Maybe he is being screwed so bad that maybe he should stick it to them, whatever. But if he legitimately did something to where, and I don't think that like our friends are necessarily saying he's just going to go in there, lay down, and walk out. But if it was something where you could kind of sniff it out, right? If it was just a little obvious, like, wait a minute, Nate really just, I think he just took a dive right there. Like, I think he just quit.
yeah.
I don't see any promoter, any sport outside of him. I don't see it. He would be blacklisted. I mean,
Yeah.
how could you, as if you are a venue like Madison Square Garden, and you got Jake Paul coming to you saying, we want to do a fight with Nate Diaz, they'd say, hell no. The guy who just fucking quit, like in the first 15 seconds of his fight, there ain't no chance. Showtime would say, hell no.
Yeah.
They would do ×2 on that. Like,
Yeah.
it just, I don't think people think about that kind of stuff. And I also just don't think it's in Nate's blood to do it. I mean,
Well, and let's just be honest here, Noah, and everybody listening and watching. Yeah, that'd be a fuck you, right? That's like the narrative behind that whole thing. No, the biggest fuck you for Nate is to go in there and beat Khamzat Chimaev.
which he thinks he can.
Yes, absolutely he thinks he can, or he's not in this fight. Nate Diaz is not in this fight for any other reason than to come in there and shock the world again, because he's done it before, let us not forget.
Let me tell you, we're struggling to predict how this fight's going to go, and I mean, rightfully so. It's just such a... It feels like the result's inevitable, or like the winner's inevitable, but it's like, how do we get there,
Yeah.
One thing I expect a lot of theatrics here.
Oh, yeah.
I expect middle fingers. I mean, maybe he'll do like what Nick did against Anderson Silva, lay down on the ground a little bit, do that kind of stuff. I expect Khamzat to be all about that.
He's practicing his slaps to get ready for Nate.
So I think this is going to be... I expect this fight to be pretty one-sided, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
But I think it's going to be quite a bit of fun. Like, I would predict right now a Khamzat decision. I really don't think he finishes Nate Diaz. And I think Nate will get so much credit and love for just being able to weather that storm. I imagine him like bloody in round 5.
Mm-hmm.
He takes a really clean shot and he just throws a middle finger up at Khamzat. Says like, you can't kill me.
Yeah. No,
Kind of like that, the last stand,
Yeah. I got one question. And maybe we ask it again on Monday, depending on the result. But should Nate come out here and win this? Literally, come out here and win. What are we talking here in terms of like biggest upsets ever? Biggest, like the storylines? The MMA world, it got flipped on its head when Leon just won the belt.
Yeah.
What would a win for
This
Nate
is different,
Diaz
though.
do to the
this
MMA
is different.
world?
I mean,
Yes.
Leon definitely was a huge story. It still is a huge story.
But a
I mean,
whole
the man's-
different type of narrative.
But this is, I mean, one of your biggest stars ever who is sort of being talked about like he doesn't have a lot left. Being fed to the young. The youngest, hottest new thing, the new toy, right? Khamzat.
Yeah.
If he beats Khamzat Chimaev, there is no question that the UFC have to do everything in their power to keep him under contract. You have to throw him every dollar. I mean, they might as well just give him the company. I mean,
yeah.
like at that point, You are talking one of the biggest upsets ever. Should it be? Like, is it really a bigger upset than, like, I mean, some of the big ones in history, the Matt Serra over GSP, the
Holly Ronda.
and I mean, really, should Holly and Ronda even been? But yeah, I get the point here. It's up there though, for sure. I mean, just look at those odds. I mean, minus over 1,000. I mean, that's literally saying like there's not a chance they're losing here.
Right.
So,
We'll
but
see.
that will be something to. We'll find out on Monday for sure.
Oh yeah.
That'll be an interesting episode. Let's talk about the co-main. So, to this card's credit, we had done we spent a lot of time kind of pooing on this card, and rightfully so. I mean, there was some couple really good fights added. This is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, the UFC definitely had to pivot, realizing like, wait a minute, we can't just do what boxing does and put a one-fight card out there.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't. You gotta do a little bit more. I mean, Khamzat and Nate's a great fight in terms of star power, but I don't know if it can quite carry a whole pay-per-view anymore. It's not Conor, and I know a lot of Nate fans might hate me for saying that, but it's just, I mean, Conor Cowboy was what this card was 3 weeks ago. I mean, that's so. Anyways, the co-main, though, it's been quickly put together, but it's a bit going under the radar in my opinion because the Leech, Li Jingliang, he's back, number 14 in this welterweight division, and he's welcoming Mr. Tony Ferguson, the number 11 ranked lightweight, moving up, trying to give it one last go. Of course, Tony Ferguson won the Ultimate Fighter back in the day at welterweight, but has spent the entirety of his UFC career as a lightweight, one of the best to ever do it, I would say, at that division. So that is not the Tony we are seeing now, though, Dom. He has lost 4 straight. 2 of those via finish. The last one, a very brutal knockout to Michael Chandler. That was back in May, by the way. So not a huge layoff. What is it, 5 months?
A little over 5 months.
About 4 months.
Or wait, May's the 5th month of the year. You're right.
So about 4 months here since we last seen him. It's been a little bit longer for the Leech. I think the last time he fought was, or no, he fought.
He just fought in July.
He just fought in July. I'm sorry. I guess, how do you expect this to go with Tony, right? I mean, we love Tony Ferguson. It's pretty clear he's not the same fighter that he was when he was on that 12-fight winning streak or whatever it was, and was the interim champion. I mean, he really felt like if he wasn't the best lightweight in the world, he was number 2. I mean, he was right there. He is clearly not that guy anymore, but is the new weight class, is this level of opponent, and the Leech who's good, but is at number 14 in division, is this going to be the kind of, is this the makings of like a great performance for Tony, or do you think this is just going to be the nail in the coffin?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, guys, granted, he's going up in weight, right? He's not going down, so we don't but he's 38 years old. Even I just don't know. Like, is there really a long future here for him at welterweight anyways? This fight really came together super randomly, out of nowhere, short notice. And, I mean, it's not necessarily an easy matchup to welcome yourself into the 170-pound division either for Tony. I mean, the Leech is a dog, man, and this dude's got legitimate knockout power. He just had a knockout in July, and Tony just had a vicious knockout loss earlier this year too, like Noah said. So it's not easy. I'll tell you what, it should be a fun fight. I would imagine it's a fun fight. But, the Leech at minus 325, a bit steep, but I'm not necessarily surprised, man. I mean, he's 4 years younger. He carries a lot more power. He's been at 170 a long time. Tony's not going to look necessarily smaller, but I do feel like just overall weight when they're in the cage, Lee's going to be pretty damn big.
He's a big dude, man.
Yeah, he's thick, right? I've been saying that about a lot of fighters lately. But hey, Tony's going to make it fun, and he always does. But it's an uphill battle. It really is. I mean, regardless of what is Lee? He's 11-5 in the UFC. A couple wins here, a couple losses there. But don't get it twisted. This dude is a legitimate talent. He's very dangerous, and he's still looking to make a run with his career at number 14 at this weight class. So it's tough for Tony. I wish that maybe we saw this move a little sooner in that kind of losing streak that he's on. But better late than never. I don't know what to expect from Tony, man. Like, are you expecting anything out of the ordinary, something different? He's changed his camps. He's got different coaches with him, albeit, but I don't know, man.
Yeah,
It's
a lot of
still Tony.
people, you see, I'm not very smart about the camps. I've admitted that. Like, that's kind of my blind spot with MMA. Like, I kind of know the obvious ones, but a lot of people have saying him going the Jackson Wink is not going to be to his benefit. Like, it's kind of an odd fit, I guess, for his style. I've heard a lot of people not very high on that move. But, I mean, it's something, right? He's obviously trying. And going to a new weight class, I mean, I really am worried about this fight. I mean, I'm being quite frank. But let's try to do a positive spin here. Tony looked great before the knockout against Michael Chandler.
Yeah.
I mean, he had Michael on the ropes there at the beginning of round one. That whole first round, he looked great. He won the round.
Had a knockdown.
It's just, 17 seconds into round two, he was knocked out cold.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing I worry about here is I could fully see Tony looking great. I mean, I think he might be a more skilled fighter overall than the Leech is, if you really think about it. But I just don't know if it can hold up over 3 rounds. I don't know if he can take the shots anymore. And, I mean, Jingliang packs a punch, and he packs a punch at 170 pounds.
Yeah.
I also don't love the vibes coming from Tony Ferguson this week. He is kind of doubling down on what he was doing during the fight week against Michael Chandler, where he's kind of saying he just wants out. He's like, I want out. He's like, I'm just taking this fight to get out of my contract. And
is
when
this
you
his
start
last
talking
one?
like that, I don't know. I'm not sure if it is, but that's what he's saying. Is kind of like, I'm taking this just to move on. And when I hear stuff like that, I don't like that. It doesn't. I mean, who's the last few people we've heard talk like that? It's like Luke Rockhold, and I mean Tony going into the Chandler fight. It's Nate Diaz now being put with Khamzat. Like, it's these guys when they start talking like this. I get it. They have every right to, and I'm sure it comes from a real place of like disrespect on behalf of the UFC. Like, I get it. Like, I'm not saying that this is, it just seems like anytime you see these fighters start to speak out like this, they just don't tend to, like, it almost comes too late to where it would matter. Like, if Tony was talking like this when he was like interim champion, I mean, whoa, right? What a statement.
Yeah.
But it's now when he's on a 4-fight losing streak that the shit's coming out, and to me it's just not the best vibes going into a fight where you're kind of focused on some of these out of the cage elements here, and I'm not expecting this to go very well, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I am struggling to see a route in which Tony can win. I think
I definitely see it more than like the Nate fight. Like, I see the route. I see the route to victory. I mean,
what in specific, if you know?
I mean, I do think that Tony, again, I think there could be something to him going to 170 pounds. I mean, you look at him on The Ultimate Fighter, dude looked great. Like, he filled out a lot better than you would expect going up.
15 pounds is a big difference, guys.
Because, I mean, you look at like when Max went up 10, right? Didn't look like he really filled in all that well. Tony, back when he was at 170, I mean, he had the shoulder, the traps. I mean, he looked good at that weight class. Obviously, he had so much success at lightweight that it didn't matter. But, I think he'll fill out pretty well. I think he'll look good. If he were to win this fight, I mean, it's going to be being a better technical fighter than the Leech. It's being able to take a punch and obviously not get hit that much. But, I mean, I don't know. You kind of caught me there. Like, I see the route, but it's also like, it would be very unpredictable because I don't really see the fight going that way.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like, my prediction would be Jingliang all the way, but I do think that if you take to what Tony did so well in the first fight, where his movement was very good, his boxing was very good, and then if this fight goes to the ground, it could get really interesting because Tony is lethal with his submissions.
Yeah.
And I mean, Jingliang, not quite as well versed down there.
Yeah, true. I don't know. Tony, like, and you said unpredictable in terms of, like, if he were to win, but that's the way that Tony is just as a fighter. Unpredictable, unorthodox. No one's ever been as technical, yet so untechnical as Tony Ferguson.
Well, that's why it's hard to, when you say, like, what's his route to victory almost, or, like, how does he win it?
You never really know.
You never really know.
Yeah.
Like, he's so talented. He still is.
Yeah.
But, again, he's got to be able, he's going to get hit with a clean shot at least once here.
Yeah.
Can he withstand that?
Yeah.
Is the 15 pounds going to help him, or is the fact that his opponent 15 more pounds of power going to hurt him even more? I mean, it's
first round Tony against Chandler. If he's here for this fight, it gets interesting.
Yes,
it gets very interesting.
It does. Let's talk about the Contender Series, Dom. Week 7 happened Tuesday.
Already week 7.
I know. It's almost time for it to go away again.
I know.
What are we gonna do on Tuesdays again? It's like I need this to fill out my sports week. You know?
We need 52 weeks a year.
Yeah. But we got 5 fights here, 4 contracts this time.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna ask you what I always ask you: kind of what stood out, who stood out. Was there anything that stood out about this week of Contender Series?
Oh, what do I want to do here? It was such an interesting night of fights. Good ones, weird ones, not necessarily any bad ones. Maybe a bad one. I'm going to go with one half of the Bonfim brothers, but I'm going to take Gabriel. He did get the finish in round 1 via submission over the 6'5", by the way, Trey Walters. You don't see that very often at welterweight, by the way. But wow, what a crazy, wacky fight. And then Trey looked pretty good, by the way, with his size and everything on the feet. Locks in a very tight guillotine against Bonfim. But then all of a sudden, Bonfim is still in the choke, by the way, but he works it around to where he can get the Von Flu set up. And before your eyes, Trey Walters is tapping. Like, what the hell's going on here? I didn't know what happened. But that was impressive, man. Not only to, tit for tat on the feet, but to keep composure in a very, very tight, very nasty guillotine. And then while you're getting choked, pull off a submission of your own. I mean, I don't recall seeing a submission happen like that in a very long time. Yeah. And especially on Contender, to get a contract with your brother, by the way. I mean, that was just a wild fight and one of the craziest finishes of the season so far. So I'm going to go Gabriel Bonfim, going to add a little bit of fun to the 170-pound division.
Yeah, getting that Von Prue choke. Am I right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, how awkward would it have been if one of the two brothers didn't get a contract? Like,
yeah, Dana was kind of forced to do both.
That would have made holidays very interesting, right? Like,
yeah.
They'd be like, I'm just imagining like the Bonfim family sitting down for Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I feel like I'm talking to them like they weren't English speaking, right?
They're Brazilian, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I'm talking like a dumb Yankee here about Thanksgiving. I'm sure that's, but just walk with me here for a second.
I'm walking, yeah.
So the Bonfim family sitting down for Thanksgiving, and let's just say like Ismael's like, or Gabriel's like, hey, Ismael, can you pass me like the mashed potatoes? He's like, why don't you ask Dana to do it since Dana loves you so much?
Yeah.
And then he just like throws his napkin down, storms off.
Yeah.
Just very awkward around the holidays. That's just what I imagine. So, good for them that they both got contracts. I really don't have a ton of like takeaways from this week. I mean, it was a good week, solid,
Nothing nuts,
Yeah, it was good. I mean, the main event, Vitor Betrino.
Wow.
That was a great knockout. Follow-up punch was like I kind of was like, splice in Connor, huh?
Right.
But, yeah, that was a good knockout. And, I mean, I got to address it again, as a gambler.
Oh, boy.
I mean, Yanni the Greek is... He keeps falling, man.
Did he hit 1 or 2 last night?
I think, I don't know.
But still, I get the point.
People are keeping track now. I shouldn't feel for a guy who's probably a multimillionaire and like
with the pearly whites, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of scary how white those teeth are. I mean, don't get me wrong, I envy it, but holy shit. Like there's an episode of Friends where Ross gets like these teeth. He gets his teeth whitened, but it's like way too white.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to show this girl that he's like messing around with or whatever. But so she turns the lights off, and then he's like, okay, he smiles, but you can see his teeth.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I imagine Yanni the Greek experiences. Like if he's in a movie theater, people are like, "Get off your phone." And he's like, it's just my teeth here, guy. Like,
exactly.
But yeah, just seeing people like literally keeping track. Like he's now 3-19.
I know, man.
It's like I know because I almost fade myself sometimes.
We have to track our own shit, guys, and it ain't pretty sometimes.
Yeah, so if other people were tracking my shit, I mean, I would be miserable.
Yeah.
And he's doing it for Contender Series. Like, that is so much harder than betting on... It's already hard enough betting on just the UFC in general.
Yeah.
And then you're bringing in Contender Series, but I get it. He's, like, the guy. Like, he kind of... I don't know. It's all in fun. Like, man, when I saw the first tweet pop up, that was like... Fading Yanni the Greek continues. It was like, it always is just a little clip of his bet at the bottom of the screen.
Yep.
And then you just watch the fight and you're like, oh, well, that one didn't hit. So
yeah,
that's still my biggest takeaway is that Yanni the Greek continues to fall. I mean, what a fall from grace it's been this year.
Hey, I'll say he did. I remember one bet, and he did do the over in the main event, which hit. He did over 1.5. Tweeted it, or he tweeted out and he said easy money, and I'm like, Yanni, I get where you're going, buddy, but I mean, chill out. I respect the flex, but we'll see how he does next week. Maybe he's got to get hot, right? You got to think.
I did see where he said easy money, and I was kind of like, all right, now you're kind of asking for it.
Yeah, I saw the responses to that were not good. Yeah.
But let's get into some tidbits.
Oh, this is the part I was waiting for.
Yeah, so this is all Dominic here.
Yep.
So Showtime pay-per-view October 29th. It is official.
Yeah.
In the ring, you will see Anderson Silva at 47 years old. Box Jake Paul. Everybody's favorite something.
Yeah.
So Anderson Silva versus Jake Paul. I mean, Dominic is the biggest Anderson Silva fan in the world.
Yeah, got to be one of.
So, I mean, what thoughts crept into your mind? I mean, this has been talked about for like a year now as being a possibility.
Yeah.
Now that it's official, October 29th, it will happen. I mean, Halloween. Almost 2 years to the day of his final fight in the UFC.
Yeah, that went well for me.
I mean, that's where we all... No, that was the infamous COVID episode. But anyways,
Yep.
What thoughts went into the head here?
Well, Noah, when it was in the works, like a week or so ago, you sent it, and I said, I knew this day would come. I don't remember what GIF I used, but it probably wasn't a good one. But now it's official, and I mean, what do you even do? What do you do? Noah said in our intro to today's show that Anderson Silva has the weight of or he's fighting for MMA, I think is the way he put it, or something like that. And he is. But Noah and I have had this conversation relatively recently when Jake Paul's been mentioned on the show. Unfortunately, he does have to be mentioned every now and again. And it's like, how long can that narrative really go on? I mean, at this point, it's all just such a circus. But don't get it twisted. I hope Anderson comes out here and absolutely just puts on a fucking show, a clinic. I hope he's dancing. I hope Prime Anderson's looking like he was against Julio Chavez Jr. And then he knocks out Jake Paul like he did Tito. I felt bad saying that as it came out, but it's already out there.
Poor Tito.
Listen, but here's the thing. I hate that this fight's happening. And if Anderson loses, I will have to, I don't know, take a week off.
Should we take a wager on that fight?
Well, hey, for what it's worth, Anderson opening as a favorite, actually.
Yeah,
small.
Let's not take an actual wager, but I feel like you should have to do something if Anderson Silva loses.
Oh, boy. That could get out of hand, but I'm willing to hear options.
Oh, I got something.
Oh,
you should schedule a colonoscopy if he loses.
Yeah, we're gonna have to tone that down a little. We got time. We got time to tweak it. A month and a half. We'll work.
Everybody, comment below. Let us know what Dominic should have to do if Anderson Silva loses. I mean, I think scheduling a colonoscopy is a great start.
Yeah, that worked. Yeah, that's definitely an extreme option there. I mean, Noah, What do you think about this? Because
admittedly, guys, I'm the kind of the reason that these. If it was up to Dom, we probably wouldn't talk about Jake Paul at all. I feel like since we do kind of talk about when MMA fighters go into boxing, Jake Paul, most of his fights have been against former MMA fighters. It's just kind of lined up for us to talk about him. I mean, I said it the last time we talked about. I think I talked about him on the closing statements when his fight fell through, his last one. I mean, it's a circus. If it's something you're interested in, like, by all means. I mean, I get it. I get why people like it because he's this influencer. Seeing it's almost like watching celebrity. Like if you watch celebrities fight, like legit celebrities, there's something interesting about that, right? Like when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock.
Yeah.
I was captivated.
It broke the internet. Yeah.
If they would have had a boxing match afterwards, I fucking would have bought it. I mean, even though those two have no business being in a boxing ring, right? So there's a little bit of that with Jake Paul. Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the end game is. I feel like this is all going.
That's what I was about to ask.
I feel like it's all leading to nowhere because, I mean, he's never going to be like a champion. I mean, he says he will be, but he's not. I mean,
like, what does a win over Anderson really do for him? Outside of, he's beaten another.
I think a lot of people, I think for a lot of people, it's going to, if he really does beat Anderson Silva, and it's not in some kooky, cooked decision, where it feels like it was, maybe Anderson should have won. If he knocked out Anderson Silva, I think it would turn a lot of heads. I do.
Yeah.
But I do think there's still going to be that. I mean, he's not really winning over a ton of people here because everybody's still the people who said before this fight announcement that he needed to stop boxing past our prime MMA fighters aren't going to all of a sudden jump on his side because he's going to, if he beats him out of his prime MMA fighter. Anderson's definitely a step up in terms of boxing from Tyron Woodley or Ben Askren, but he's 47.
It's got to, I don't know how old Jake is, but this has got to be damn near 20-year age.
He's almost our age. He's like 26 or something.
Yeah,
25.
He's 187 pounds, 8 rounds.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I'm not going to watch it, truthfully. I'm just not.
We'll have to watch Wonder Boy.
I can't. Again. Yeah, I'll have to watch. That was so funny. We were both just so happy to be watching Wonder Boy streaming the fight. I don't know. That was so weird. But, I'm not going to watch it because I can't. Again,
I'm telling you right now.
I don't want people to think when we're kind of shitting on it or talking like this about it that we feel like we're better than it. It's just, look, guys, when we watch MMA or when I watch boxing, I like to watch the best in the world fight. This is something else. It's more similar to I don't even know a good example. I don't even know. I can't. I think I used to have some good examples for this, but it's celebrity boxing. Again, if that's what you were looking for, that's fine. But it doesn't feel like legitimate sport to me. Showtime having it, I'm kind of really? Showtime?
And again, as much as I want Anderson to win, obviously, does that even does that put a stop to this whole Jake Paul thing? I wonder if that's the bigger question. That's what I
if he gets if Jake loses, I don't see what do you do next?
I know, man.
But I'm sure he'll find a way. The guy is obviously a very intelligent businessman. He's got a lot of hands and a lot of pots, and he has made something out of this whole boxing thing.
Yeah,
more than I ever thought that he would have done. And I can't fault the guy for what he's doing. It's all calculated.
Oh yeah.
But if he loses, I'm honestly, guys, I'm feeling a little bit like the Paulo Luke Rockhold fight where I don't think this fight's gonna happen.
Ooh, I could see that.
And I'm not saying, that either party is gonna pull out but something just it just doesn't feel like this is a fight that's actually gonna happen. Jake Paul's a fucking underdog. He's really putting a lot on the line here in terms if he really wants to keep this boxing thing going, which who knows how much longer the shelf life is on this thing anyways. I think we've talked enough about this.
That was longer than I expected. Let's get it off here.
I hate it. Fight announcements.
Yeah, good ones.
We'll start with the small one here. New main event. for October 15th. This was originally Jared Cannonier, Sean Strickland. That fight's out. We speculated on what it might be. It's Alexa Grasso, Viviane Araujo, which was, I believe, going to be our co-main. It's now a 5-round main event. Dominic, are you impressed?
It's unfortunate. I really was pushing for someone else to take that spot, but we're going to talk about him in a few minutes. So, yeah, I mean, we wanted the other flyweights. We wanted the men's flyweights, Royval and Askar, to get the spot. They don't. They continue to get the shaft. It's unfortunate. But, I mean, I like Alexa Grasso, and I do like Viviane. It doesn't need to be 5 rounds. But I'm just excited to see the fight, I guess. But, yeah. Main event doesn't do anything.
It's a lot better than like Aspen Ladd, Norma Dumont. This isn't that level.
And for them,
I
it's
would
just
even
a good
say,
opportunity.
and I would even argue, I'm more interested in this fight than like Angela Hill, Michelle Watterson.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a very high level fight.
I mean, it's a high level fight, and for Alexa Grasso, I mean, there is,
Oh yeah.
There is starting to be those whispers of like, how many more is she going to win before we're talking title fights? So,
For sure.
It does have stakes, but it just doesn't really pack the punch. Like it doesn't. I'm not so confident that this is going to end up being a great fight.
Yeah.
I think these are two very good fighters, but I have a lot of faith in Askar Askarov, Brandon Royval to be a very fun fight.
Right.
And I just think that's a better. Like I think the fans are more interested in that one. Like I just don't understand. I think the UFC is kind of out of touch. Like again, they do so much great. So many things that they do like go over my head because obviously they know what they're doing. But then there's these little things that pop up where I'm like, do they know what they're doing sometimes? Because like they kept the flyweight division around. It's proven to be a valuable commodity in some way. They obviously have made it. I mean, look at how much they've loved what's going on with Moreno, Figueiredo. Even Carl France has really built himself up. And then you have these two guys who are just primed for a main event spot here now that this one fell out, and you don't give it to them?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing? I mean, that fight would have been a great 5-rounder.
I agree.
Missed opportunity. But I don't want to just because like I still feel like there could have been plenty of worse. I mean, there's plenty of fight nights where if that main event's gone, I mean, there's nothing below it. That's
It's not like they're undeserving.
This is like it's not great, but I mean, it's better than what a lot of fight nights might give you if you lose your main event. So
yeah.
Ariel Helwani first reporting. This is more of a confirmation. We did talk about this. Ariel Helwani reported this back in August, but Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler, it's happening. MSG, UFC 281, November 12th. I mean, it's official, Dom. It's 3 rounds. Michael Chandler, I remember him saying, there was a quote that I saw going around after he fought at NYC for Bellator. He said, I liked it, but I never want to fight there again because, they just seem like kind of amateurs and like how they handle their events. And
back-to-back years for Mike.
Back-to-back years at MSG, baby. I mean, when you're a needle mover like that guy, you got to be putting a big card. So this card is looking very, very pleasing to the eyes right now.
And as we should expect for Madison Square Garden, for New York City, Michael Chandler, a chance to go back-to-back, not only in NYC, but with another top contender, and a chance to maybe even put himself up for the fight of the year again. No, we shall see in December. That's going to be a banger. There's no ifs, there's no ands, there's no buts. I'm glad it's signed. Let's get to it.
Are you upset at all about it not being 5 rounds?
This one, much like him versus Gaethje, 3's fine. I mean, it really is.
I think because of how the Gaethje fight went, I think you kind of realize, like, I don't know if they're going to need the whole 3 rounds, and if they do, I don't know how much they're going to have left at the end of them. Like I understand that since the UFC's kind of opened that Pandora's box of making some of these fights 5-rounders, that now like every big time feature fight needs to be 5 rounds is like the reaction. But I don't think they all have to be. Like, there's a chance this one doesn't even need 3 rounds.
Yeah, well, and I'm going to say, too, guys, like, obviously it's a fun fight, fan-friendly, 2 guys that a lot of people love. But go beyond that. this is important for their careers. I mean, let's be real here, where they're at with their status. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say the loser of this can kiss any future title chances goodbye. That's how important I think this fight is.
Really? You really think so?
I think it's bad. A loss is going to be bad.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't know. I think you can never count these two out. I've kind of thought I kind of almost felt when Dustin lost to Charles that was it. But here he is, one fight away almost. Like, it's still a little bit of time for some of those real killers that are moving up in the ranks. So I could totally. I mean, if it's a great fight, if again it's like a fight. I mean, if we're talking like how the Gaethje Chandler fight went last year, how could you look at either guy and say that they don't have a chance at getting a title fight again? Like, the UFC seemed like they would love to put either of these two guys back in that position.
Yeah.
But you may have a point, though, just because for the loser, like, I don't know how many more, for Dustin especially, like, we don't know how much more he's wanting to go. And
I'm still, I am a bit surprised he is doing the 155-pound fight again. But, obviously with Nate falling out and nothing else at 170 for him, here we are. So.
Like, you might disagree with this, but I almost feel like a loss for Dustin is more of a closing the book than on Chandler.
No, I agree with that. I do.
Like, I think a loss for Chandler, I feel like Chandler's still just, he's talking the talk, he's walking the walk, he's really playing by the UFC's rules. He seems to have a really good relationship with them, and he puts on bangers. Not that Dustin doesn't. Yeah. But again, I don't know how much more he's really wanting to stay in the game,
Right. Yeah, that I do agree with for sure.
Another one here, Jack Shore. We literally just fucking talked about this.
Yeah.
Jack Shore out against Kyler Phillips. I mean, it was just too good to be true. November 19th.
Yeah.
Jack Shore likely out for the rest of the year. They said pretty big injury for him. So hopefully he heals up. But man, what a shame. That was a great fight.
It was a great fight. Give Kyler somebody, man. Give him someone right there, 15, 14, 13. I think he's a good fighter. Give him.
I do too. It would be a shame if he has to fight like some Joe Schmo making her debut. It's like, come on, dude. Like, guy's really good.
Oh yeah.
Brett Okamoto first reporting. Darren Till will be making his return. Actually, I know you were calling for it in October. I remember being kind of like, let's pump the brakes there, Dami. And now here we are in December. Darren Till is coming back. He is making his return. He was a man of his word, said he wanted to come back before the end of the year, and he will do so as of now, verbally agreed. Him versus Dricus du Plessis. Wow. December 10th, UFC 282. So that card to end the year. We got a pretty big fight here with Darren and Dricus. Let's focus on Darren for this one. How do you like this matchup for him?
I really just hope he comes in 100% healthy, first and foremost. Matchup-wise, fascinating. What an interesting matchup.
So fascinating.
Dricus is just a dog. He just doesn't stop coming forward. It may not be the prettiest at times, but he just comes forward, man. But Darren Till, precise, completely opposite striker as Dricus. So if Dricus comes in, Darren may be able to take advantage.
Okay, I get what you're saying, but I also feel like the way you just described Dricus is completely based on his last fight. Like, his last fight was completely how you described, like the opposite of how Darren Till strikes, the opposite of how he fights, like not the prettiest. I mean, that was an ugly fight with him, performance that he somehow won against Brad Tavares. But if you look at the fights before that, I mean, he was still a very powerful, very aggressive guy, but the guy's a very technical kickboxer. I don't know what the hell happened in that last fight. I mean, it was weird. But he has shown a lot more technical skill than what that last fight would show. And I do think that if this turns into a kickboxing fight, I don't think he's necessarily, like, outmatched by Darren Till.
Ooh, I like that. That's interesting, man. I don't know. I mean,
that's tough to say, though, because Darren is, like, high level for MMA kickboxing.
Yeah, man. Right? I mean, because Dricus was getting. I mean, again, he went in a little reckless against Brad, but Brad's a solid counter puncher. Good. It was just
that was such a out. I mean, I was like sitting there like with my jaw on the floor, like not only because I had money on Dricus and I was like, what are you doing? But it just was so different and not nearly as like technical as what he had shown previously. Again, very aggressive guy and very powerful guy, which is why it's such an interesting fight with him and Darren. But if that Dricus shows up, I think Darren. I mean, again, it's hard to have a ton of confidence in Darren right now, but I think Darren pieces him up all day with that kind of showing.
Yeah, I would agree. And I'll say, too, for what it's worth, guys, Dricus is a stud on the ground. He may not show it all the time,
That's
but he's
true.
a really
Very
good
true.
grappler, very strong physically. Darren struggled against, again, I know it was Derek Brunson, and he did bum his knee out, but I'm just saying there's holes there that I think Dricus can capitalize on, and vice versa for Darren.
Yeah, it seems like it depends on what kind of shape Darren comes in.
I hope he's healthy,
The
man.
Bronson fight, he looked like I mean, I don't know if he really had like a torn ACL, in his training camp, and he just fucking fought through it. I mean, but he sure didn't look like he was in the best shape of his career.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
So I could totally see that being the case because he doesn't seem like the kind of guy who's just gonna, phone it in the lead up to a fight,
Do you like this match for Darren? Because remember, I was saying give him that Jared Cannonier replacement, and you're like, it's okay, but let's move him back.
I love this match.
This is kind of your sweet spot for him.
I mean, again, it's no easy fight. I mean, Drick, but this is more the speed. I mean, this is. I think Darren needed this kind of step back. I think he still can comfortably, for now, say top 15. But I just thought, I know Cannonier didn't look great against Izzy, or if it was a Sean Strickland, same thing. Didn't look good against Behera, but man, it's just feels like you're just kind of immediately throwing him back to the Wolves when he really just needs to kind of build himself back up a little bit.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that.
Yeah. Let's move on to the rest of UFC 279. Got a couple more fights here. Kevin Holland.
Oh, man.
And Daniel Rodriguez.
Come on.
People stand up. This is the people's main event That's here.
Facts. Yes.
I mean, these are two fan favorites for the hardcore fans. I mean, Kevin Holland's sort of everybody's favorite. I mean, he's literally Batman. I mean, he's out there solving crimes. Daniel Rodriguez, though.
That's a dog.
In the words of Dana White, if you don't know, you're going to know.
Yes. Yeah.
But just give your thoughts. I mean, I really didn't have a lead in there. Just give your thoughts on it.
No, I mean, this is just another again, it's not like a crazy stacked card with a lot of great fights, great fighters, but there's just some intriguing, fascinating matchups. And this is another one of them because Kevin Holland, Swiss Army knife, he is good everywhere, but he does like to stand and trade for the most part. D-Rod, dude. I mean, what's the word you used for the technical brawler? Who else do you use?
Sean Strickland.
So much of the same, but D-Rod maybe even a little bit more clean. He is a legit with his striking, and he's so technical and precise, but he's not afraid to dirty box and just really grind one out. This has Fight of the Night written all over it. I think it's a super fun fight. Winner, put him into the top 15, please. Dare I say even close to top 10. They're both going to deserve it because I know the winner's going to come out looking mighty fine. I love everything about this fight. It really checks all the boxes. I'm going to be honest.
I really have nothing else to add because you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, it's my most anticipated fight on the card.
Yeah.
It feels like the most fan-friendly fight. I think we're in for a really good one.
Oh, yeah.
That one.
Oh, yeah.
One that is going to be very interesting to watch. Johnny Walker, your number 13 ranked light heavyweight, takes on Jan Kudelaba. Kudelaba, a near 2-1 favorite here.
Yeah.
And me and you are calling bullshit. Bushka. That's what we're calling.
Yes.
I get it. Johnny Walker, right? Hard to feel confident in the guy right now. Stock is at an all-time low. Selling someone's motorboating outside.
Yeah.
But how could anyone feel that confident in Jan Kudelaba? Not only has Johnny Walker faced better fighters, has better wins, but based off the performances, I think I would say for sure Johnny Walker's a better all-around fighter than Kudelaba, or at least I guess a better striker. I mean, when he goes to the ground, I don't know, but Johnny's just so much longer. The reach is going to be a huge problem for Kudelaba.
Yeah.
I am shocked at the line for this because Kudalava's not exactly lighting the world on fire. I mean, he's under 500, I believe, in his UFC career.
Yeah,
so,
5-6-1.
Yeah, I mean, Johnny Walker, I get it. Like, again, I understand the lack of confidence in Johnny Walker, but look at who he's fighting. Like, how could you feel that confident in Kudalava? And you seem to agree with me on this.
Yeah, I think this line's crazy, minus 200, and it's not even a slight to Kudalava. It's just like this fight feels like at the minimum it should be like even money, if not Johnny the slight favorite. But
I guess it is kind of a slight to Kudalava because we're saying he shouldn't be that much of a favorite. But
I suppose.
But I'm not trying to I'm not saying it. We're not saying it out of a place of disrespect.
I think it's more toward just the skill set of Johnny.
Yeah, he's a talented. I mean, Kudalava is a talented fighter. He was a borderline top 15 guy, still is.
Yeah,
and he has fought a lot of tough competition. Like his record probably doesn't really tell the full story. But Johnny, I mean, these losses are coming against really good fighters. Like I just don't understand how people could you're that far out on him, but you're this much in on Kudalava. Like, both guys feel like they're in similar places to me.
Yeah, 100%. And Johnny, 5 inches taller, 7-inch reach advantage for the type of striker that he is. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I'm just saying, don't be surprised if on Friday you see something with Johnny on the below average bet set. That's all I'm saying.
Times 2. The sleeper fight of the night, in my opinion, Hakeem Dawodu taking on Julian Erosa. Now, I know I put this one on here, but I'm curious what you got on this one. Is this a fight that's really sticking out to you on this prelims, or are you kind of like, I mean, it's a good fight, but not one that really was sticking out to you?
I think it sticks out because of the fight style of Julian Erosa. I think if you're fighting Erosa, you have no choice but to really fight his game, honestly. Like, Hakeem is a very underrated fighter, dare I say. I mean, he's 13-2-1, 6-2 in the UFC. Very technical, slow plotting.
Yeah, 5 of his 6 wins via decision.
Yes. So this last fight was with the Michael Chandler. That was a pretty interesting fight. But Julian, man, kill or be killed. I mean, he's finished 23 out of 27. Been cut from the UFC, fought his way back in. He's won 2 in a row now with a finish sprinkled in there. I think it is going to be more fun than maybe some people think, but then others could be on the side of you where this really is standing out on the prelims. I feel like just Hakeem is similar to me to Mark Jacasey, where they point fight knowing that they can get a win, but there's like this other level, this notch that you really want to see them get to, and they just never quite do. So maybe Julian Erosa is the guy that can bring that out of Hakeem, because I believe there is potential there for him. I do.
I have a bit out there comparison because I don't have the man's stats in front of me, but he reminds me a lot of your guy, Sadiq Youssef.
Also true. I see that. I see that.
Like a guy who fights with a lot of aggression but doesn't go for the kill in a weird way.
Yeah, a weird balance.
Like look at Hakeem's fight with the dude from the Habib camp.
Zubaira Tukhugov, I think is his name.
Yes. Yeah. You know, Zubaira sort of in round 3 started kind of running from him. I mean,
that fight was weird, yeah.
But Hakeem, he's like shouting at him. He's walking towards him with his hands down. I mean, he fights very aggressive, fuck you style.
Yeah.
But yet, I don't feel like it's just doesn't necessarily go for the kill. He's very calculated in how he fights. It's kind of, I mean, in a weird way, he's like a different version of Sean Strickland, where it's like a lot of I don't want to say a lot of bark, because like Hakeem is not like, it's not with Sean kind of does a lot of talking, and then the fight style doesn't really match his words. But Hakeem is very, if he presents himself a certain way. I mean, isn't his nickname Mean or something like that? It's Hakeem.
Yeah, it might be something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like he's literally got this like resting angry face all the time. Like he's just pissed off.
Yeah.
But doesn't really fight that way. So it's kind of a mind fuck for your opponent, because you look at this guy and you're like, oh, this dude's really coming for it. And then you're just going to get like outboxed, he's going to out technique you for 3 rounds. So very good fighter. But it's an interesting style matchup with Julian Erosa, who is very much feast or famine in all of his fights.
Yeah, and Julian's going to be a lot bigger here. I mean, if Hakeem wants to win this, he may have to flip that switch finally, I think.
That's what I hope we have to see. I mean, I'd love
Yeah.
to see that guy just get more tested because I do think he's very good.
I agree.
We talked a little bit about betting, Dom, on this, but if you guys really want to know what we're itching, what we're playing, what rat lines we're avoiding, we post all of that with the below average bet slip on our Twitter or Instagram.
Yeah.
You can follow us there at the Bajma. So Twitter, Instagram at the BAJ MMA. If you want to follow Dominic on Twitter or Instagram, you can do so at DSlee14. If you want to follow myself, you can do so at Noah Todd Baker.
And you guys should, by the way. Noah really turning into gambling Twitter, showing his threads for all the sports and his bets.
I'm
here for it.
I have decided to go full-fledged gambler Twitter.
I love it.
So Dominic's really been the one hyping me up. He's the only one really showing my tweets some love, so I appreciate him for that.
We in the comments, hashtag make Noah famous. There we go.
Yeah, that's right. There we go. Thank you, Dom. And with that, Dom, there's only one way we could end this show, though. And that's not with just a simple outro.
Did I hear a burp there?
That
Real
was the
slight.
That was like a croak. That was like a frog.
That was like deep right here. It just happened.
It like wasn't a burp, but it was like I don't know. I think that means I'm hungry. I don't know.
Okay.
But
Closing
that's just
statements.
ruined. Yeah, it's closing statements. I mean, of course that happens right before this, right? So
Yeah.
this is the segment where we can talk about anything and everything, MMA related or not. I mean, last episode I talked about water. So Dominic, what do you got?
Yeah, I got to go back to football from the beginning, not necessarily fantasy. What does everybody think? American football, that is. We have an international audience, right?
Yeah,
More
true.
worldwide.
That's true.
Why?
Yeah.
What are you guys thinking, American football fans? Is there any team sticking out to you? Any hot takes? Any bold predictions? Dare I say, do you have a Super Bowl prediction? Because I don't have any of that. But no, there's two teams. Well, you know what? I'll do this. I'll go one AFC team, one NFC team that I'm just really excited to see how they perform this year. NFC, Philadelphia Eagles, dare I say, I believe that they may just win their division this year. I think they will outdo them boys down in Texas, the Cowboys. I'm excited to see Jalen Hurts and the gang, see if they can put it all together. They got A.J. Brown now. Defense is always pretty solid there. New coach, relatively new coaching staff. I think they're going to make some noise this year. Even make the playoffs, like I said, win that division. For the AFC, I'm going back and forth between two teams. Gosh, I just love the AFC this year. It's pretty stacked. But if I had to pick, I have to go with the Las Vegas Raiders, Noah. You want to talk about a team that just did a revamp in the offseason, really added a lot of wrinkles to their game on both sides of the ball. And I even went over to Indiana, your neck of the woods, the other day and put some money where my mouth is on Devontae Adams, put a little wager on him to lead the league in receiving yards and or lead the league in receptions. I think Devontae and Derek Carr together are going to be that Fresno State's going to come back a little bit. I think they're going to be a super fun team to watch. Their offense is loaded. Their defense made good signings. Chandler Jones, one of them. Shout out John Jones. So I'm excited to see them in the AFC. They're in the hardest division in football, so they got an uphill battle. But those are the two teams I really have my eye on, one of each, Noah. Give me your thoughts and give the people your closing statement.
So I'm going to give you a team I'm higher on than I think most, and a team I'm lower on than most.
Okay.
The team I'm higher on is the Philadelphia Eagles. I think
man.
a lot of people are sleeping on them. I mean, last year they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I don't. And what's weird is I don't know if I love Jalen Hurts long term.
I know.
But I think it's going to work this year. I think they have a really good team around him.
Mm-hmm.
They obviously invested in the weapons, Devontae Smith in year 2, but then they brought in A.J. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that could work really well for him. And plus, he's a dual threat, so he's got the ability on the feet as well. With his legs, I should say. I'm talking like it's an MMA fight right now.
Yeah.
The team I'm low on, Tennessee Titans.
I would agree. Yeah.
They were the number 1 seed in the AFC last year, and the AFC got a lot better, and I feel like the Titans did not follow suit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I keep seeing a lot of people talking about my Cincinnati Bengals, perhaps being a disappointing team this year, and I completely disagree with that.
That's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, it depends on what your definition of a disappointment is. Is it if they don't make it to the Super Bowl again? Well, okay, that's
high
going to be hard.
expectations.
It's going to be hard, right? Buffalo Bills, Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, the Raiders, I think, are going to be good. The Chargers.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of good teams, not to mention their own division, the Ravens.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think the Bengals did nothing but improve their team. They have 4 new offensive linemen who are all, I mean, considering what they did last year with the offensive line they had is quite incredible. I actually think Joe Burrow is he's my, I almost said Heisman. He's my MVP choice right now if I had to choose one. I know a lot of people are picking Josh Allen, rightfully so, but I think Joe Burrow with a really good offensive line, well, I shouldn't say really good, with a very solid offensive line, a much improved offensive line, and he's got some of the best weapons in the whole
their
sport.
offense is great. Yeah.
You got Joe Mixon, of course, to take some of the load off, but I think Joe Burrow, MVP, but that was weird how I went away from
side tangent.
Yeah, the Titans, not very high on him. I mean, Derrick Henry's great.
That's their weapon, though, like.
But, I mean, they traded A.J. Brown to the Eagles, like I mentioned, and Ryan Tannehill seems like the magic's wore off, this little renaissance to his career. I feel like this is going to be the year maybe it starts to fall a little more flat, kind of like how we saw it do against the Bengals in the playoffs. And, yeah, I just think the Colts are better.
Yes.
Dare I say the Jaguars are better? I mean, I don't think the Jaguars are going to be competing for a playoff spot, but I do think that the Titans are not going to, like, Titans and Colts last year, basically, I mean, really more the Titans. I mean, you had the Texans and Jaguars, 2 of the worst teams in the league in your division.
Yeah.
So those were, in some ways, I don't want to say easy wins because I don't know what their record was against those 2 teams, but in theory, easier games.
Yeah.
I don't think the Jaguars are going to be that much of a walkover opponent this year.
Well, and again, like the Jaguars, they made improvements. They, Travis Etienne going to be in year 2. They went out and got and paid money for Christian Kirk. He's like one of the highest paid receivers in the league this year now.
Yeah, not sure about that one, but I get what you're saying.
I'm saying everybody won improvements where Tennessee did not. It's like they just fell behind all these other teams. I don't know how it's going to play. I mean, they got Robert Woods, but he's coming off of an ACL injury. I mean, I don't know, guys. I don't know.
It's tough. But I don't think I really have anything. I think that was a good enough closing statement for the 2 of us. How about college football? You know what? Let's turn it over. So week 1. So the first real week of college football took place, Dom.
Yeah.
And of course, we were very invested, along with UFC Paris.
Yes.
So any like. You know how they always say don't overreact to week 1, but is there any teams that you do feel like you're kind of over? Is there any takes you have about week 1 that is a bit of an overreaction, but you're kind of like, you gotta own it?
I don't know if I have anything crazy just because I didn't get to watch as much as you did. I know you were highly invested, but I will say you got me invested in one particular team, one particular player, quarterback for the Florida Gators. You're going to have to remind me of his name.
Anthony Richardson.
I mean, guys, we're talking tune in type player here to watch
Heisman.
on TV.
I mean, that's my like hot take right now.
Take it away.
Heisman.
Yeah.
I mean, this dude is electric.
What was it, plus 1,800? Little sprinkle,
plus
right?
1,800, and I did put a plus 2,000 on Stetson Bennett because he looked phenomenal against Oregon.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this dude he's a stud.
Isn't it great to have those college QBs that are just like must watch?
Yeah, like I have no idea if he's going to be a pro caliber quarterback, but I don't give a shit. I mean, the dude's just so much fun to watch. Very talented guy, just making the craziest of plays. I mean, the 2-point conversion where he did the fucking pump fake spin in midair. I mean, not enough people talked about that. I get it. It was a 2-point conversion, but holy shit. I was like, just give him the Heisman right now.
Yeah.
So that's that. So Florida's definitely like my overreaction from week 1. Like I had money on Florida in that game against Utah, which was, that was Utah, number 7 team in the country, right? And Florida was unranked. But now Florida's jumped all the way to 12.
Ooh,
and they got another home game this week against the Kentucky Wildcats.
That's a good one.
20.
Oh, yeah.
I'm putting money on Florida again. This time they're a -5 favorite.
Uh-oh.
It's a little risky, but I'm going for it. I'm doubling down on Florida Gators. I like what I saw from week 1. Big overreaction, of course. And then there were some teams that really disappointed me. I mean, like the Louisville Cardinals had a quarterback that I was really excited about, very much for the reasons I just mentioned about Anthony Richardson. And then they go and lose to Syracuse 31-7. So I was like, well, that's over, I guess. Because Louisville was a team I was kind of interested in. I mean, I'm living in the area.
True.
All I hear about is fucking Louisville. And then they go out and drop an egg in the first game. So they're like a 6.5 point underdog to UCF this week. And I thought about touching it, but I ain't doing it. They got to show me something.
Good for you, Noah.
Thank you. But I'm Noah Baker. That's Dominic Sleeve. We're the 2 below average Joes. And we'll see you guys on Monday.
On Monday.